Well, before we go to the main event, because I watched the main event because my boy Braun Breaker's in it, but the news coming out of the show was Zoey Stark got injured, and if I'm not mistaken, she's just come off of a knee injury and came back not long ago, right? And so this has got to be just I know how she feels literally with, and I'm not being a smart ass when I say it because of the knee injuries. And in my case, I hurt one and then had just got that one okay and hurt the other one. I think this may be the same one. I don't know. But everybody was trying to analyze what happened, and we still don't know what the specifics of the injury are yet. I don't know if it's knee, if it's a broken bone, of what the fuck it might have been. It looked like the knee. But it was a three-way with Rhea Ripley and Zoey Stark and Kerry Sane for the the winner goes on to the Money in the Bank thing, qualifier, whatever. But it wasn't a ladder match, it was a regular three-way. But did you ever get to see this clip yet? So that you know what I'm saying?
I haven't. When Rhea Ripley did her entrance, that's kind of when I cut out and just went completely to the Met game until the very end of the show. So I heard about the injury after the fact, but I still have not seen the clip. I don't know if I want to, but I haven't.
Well, the thing, no, it's not really that gruesome because the camera shot was the least optimal it could be for you to see anything, because they almost missed it completely. And trying to set the scene, Zoey Stark was in the ring, right? And she had taken a bump and rolled. If you're watching the hard camera, she had rolled to the left. Rhea Ripley was to the right on the floor. And Kerry Sane was in the ring in the middle. So apparently, because they didn't get a wide camera shot, so you never knew what Zoey Stark was doing until the moment that you saw her fly into the shot suddenly. But as Kerry Sane is looking at Rhea Ripley on the floor, she starts doing the thing where she's bouncing like she's going to turn and run to the ropes behind her and hit those and run back and dive on Rhea Ripley, right? You've seen that a million times.
I could see it as you're saying it, yeah.
Okay. And what's supposed to happen is that since Zoey Stark has rolled out on the apron, she is going to do a springboard into a missile drop kick so that when Kerry Sane turns to hit the ropes, she's going to run and meet the drop kick. So you still with me?
Yeah.
Here was the problem. Apparently, from what I could tell, Zoey Stark did the springboard before Kerry Sane ever turned, and Kerry Sane wasn't going to turn, apparently, because the camera shot is from a floor camera of Kerry Sane from behind, bouncing like she's going to turn and run. But suddenly you hear a voice scream, "Kerry!" And then a split second later, Zoey Stark flies into the shot right as Kerry Sane turns around. But Zoey Stark lands short of Kerry Sane, doesn't drop kick her with her right leg bent under her. Not even like she's going to drop kick her, but like the nearest I can explain this is if you're in midair and you realize you're going to land on somebody or somebody is not going to be where they're supposed to be to catch you or whatever. Some people put their arm down. Some people put their leg down. Some is like, oh shit, I can't drop kick her in the back or I'm going to land short. I better adjust and try to land with my feet under me. Whatever the fuck was going through her mind. When Kerry didn't turn, she tried to pull the drop kick up and got the right leg underneath her and kind of speared down into the mat. Right at Kerry's feet, where Kerry then fell over the top of her. And instantly, Zoey started screaming that you could hear it, and everybody just looked and, oh shit, froze, and the doctors immediately rolled in. Everything came to a halt, and they went to an unplanned break. The announcers never pitched the break, but in this case, they didn't know it was coming. So that's what I hate to blame the girl that got hurt, but she just jumped up and she, I guess, took it on faith when Carrie started bouncing that she was going to turn. Well, Carrie started bouncing, but she never turned, and she was all the way across the ring. So Zoey really had to fucking jump. And it was just, it was like she would have been better off, I think, trying to hit her in the back with the drop kick, because it wouldn't have fucked Carrie Sane up nearly as bad as it fucked Zoey Stark up. But anyway,
so what did it look like to you? Did it look like, if you had to diagnose it from afar, someone who's had knee injury?
Oh no. I mean, this could have easily broken your fucking leg. I was able, even though this was on Netflix, I was able to hit the pause when just accidentally at the right time. And her leg was bent into a fucking, like a question mark.
Oh, see, I don't need to see this. Oh boy.
So, I mean, it didn't look like there was an obvious bone, like the shin didn't bend completely sideways, but her leg was all crumpled up underneath her. So it could have been ankle, knee, bone, hip, anything in that general vicinity. But they carried her out. And then they came back from the break and said she was injured and continued the match as a single, and Rhea won because she was going to anyway. But yeah, but that's like she just jumped and springboarded all the way across the fucking ring when this girl wasn't even looking at her yet.
And by the way, you said Kairi Sane. I didn't realize she was back. Is that her return match?
I think, she just got back.
So they beat her in her return match?
Well, that's the thing. Rhea was going to win, obviously, because they wouldn't have beat her, either one of them, but she might have been supposed to beat Zoey. But, well, so Zoey can take comfort in that she got out of doing the job.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll have great comfort with that.
Yes, that'll make her nip right up.
Hey, let me ask you a quick question. I know, based on what you just described, it's more than an ACL. But in the past, let's say before Starrcade 86, was it that there were a lot of guys working without ACLs or a lot of ACL tears before it was a diagnosed thing? And it's just the same as now, or is it just that it wasn't happening as frequently back then?
No, it's 10 times more ACLs now. When I tore mine was the first time that I'd heard of it. No, I'm sorry, I tell a lie. Khrushchev, Darso was right before me, Crusher Khrushchev. His was February of 86. That's the first time that I had heard of the ACL. And when you think about it, there wasn't this insistence on either jumping off of high things or doing the balancing or the springboarding or the velocity that people are spinning to the floor at a blah, blah, blah. And an ACL injury was more of a football thing. The guys already, some of them didn't have an ACL from their football days. But it wasn't a major thing in wrestling. Like we've talked about Terry Gordy having two of them torn. And that was a freak thing.
And that was right around this period of time. 86 was when he really started taping up those knees.
Well, yeah, because as I told you, he told me, because I asked him, we were talking about knee problems. It was a simple thing. A guy had picked him up and give him an atomic drop. And when he planted his leg, it was straight and it, boom, snapped the ACL. And then a year or two later, overcompensating on the other leg, because he never had that one fixed, he ended up tearing the other one. That's when he dropped that weight. But guys would work in those days because you couldn't take 6 to 9 months off. But at the same time, They weren't working through torn ACLs nearly as often, nearly as much as they are now because the difference in the style. And still, if you tear your ACL, you're going to be off for a couple of weeks, whether regardless a few weeks, whether you do any goddamn thing about it or not, whether you're Superman or not, you're going to be off for a while. And guys didn't get hurt to take weeks off on anything near a regular basis back then. And you wouldn't really have a fucking choice in a lot of cases, whether you had to take time off for something like that. So it's just, again, springboard, flying, leaping, landing in awkward positions, catching people with weight on your legs when you might not be braced exactly correctly. All these things are magnified with what guys are doing these days.
Well, this has been Injuries with Jim Cornette. We will now return to...
And I can tell you, if anybody wants to know, the worst thing that you can do to leave yourself open for a blown ACL is, and I'm not saying this is what she's got, but the ACL is, the sports medicine doctors told me 80%, 85% maybe of the ACL injuries happen when your leg is straight out and your foot is planted and you get clipped or land at an odd angle to where your leg goes sideways. When your leg is bent even at like a 20-degree angle, the muscles take over, helping stabilize your knee somewhat. But when it's straight out and somebody clips you that's why I used to fight those fucking fans try to kick me in the legs. If your leg is straight out, you can take a little bump from the side and it can blow your ACL. Just like that. So always keep your legs bent slightly if you're landing from high positions or somebody's going to fucking leap on you and you're going to catch them. Crouch a little bit. It'll take pressure off your knees. But by the same token, the MCL, the medial collateral ligament, a lot of those injuries happen to regular civilians when they're in car wrecks and their knees hit the dashboard or the front of the car and fold up and bend back too far. And then the PCL is a thing you get when you hyperextend. So it just depends on, this leg was bent all kinds of different directions. So I don't know what she could have done.